Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the most rarest and forgotten kids shows. Now today's video is obviously not a very popular, I'm pretty sure it was very popular back in the day. This ran for 5 seasons and it came out back in early 1997 and sadly ended in 2001. Now as a kid I never watched this absolute classic, but I decided, you know what, I love watching this show. Perfectly maybe some other times, but I thought, you know what, today's a perfect day to come out and give you a talk about this show. So let's see what we're talking about today. It's Bernard's Watch, everybody. Another absolute classic, but definitely forgotten. Now, loads of you may notice that as a child, I never watched this classic. The only part of Bernard's Watch I did see was actually the one that came out back in 2004. And Bernard was actually played by a different actor. When I first saw Bernard's Watch, I think I was in high school. And I never took any notice of it because I really thought that, because I remember going on looking up on CITV, seeing what was on, and then I spotted Bernard's Watch and I was very sure that, oh, this must be the one I watched as a child, and I thought how lovely it would be to see it again. But then all of a sudden I realised that this was a different version, which is the one we are talking about today. And I have to admit, when I first saw the introduction, I was really confused and a little bit disappointed, but what creeped me out a little bit more was the actor who played Bernard, who was played by David Peachy. He had the most weirdest and creepiest smile. I don't know why, but seeing that was a little bit creepy. So let's talk about how Bernard's Watch came into our screens. So this show was all about a boy named Bernard, and he was always late. He was always late. And that was how he got his magic watch. He was sitting by the end of the rainbow and he met the postman and he gave him the watch. The end. Oh, what a lovely story that was. But this was actually just the beginning. One of my favourite episodes has got to be the episode called Timetables. Now, we all know what timetables was. Obviously, I first learned about timetables when I first started high school. We had all your lessons and all the days and everything. And of course, it was a very good, a very good episode to actually use in Bernard's Watch. Now, apparently about this episode, Bernard has a very strict music teacher called Mr. Keating. And if you lose your musical instrument, you'll have to write out a poem and learn it just for forgetting your musical instrument, surely. But then again, as he tries to explain it, this is what he said. So let's have a look at it.
Bernard is the most precious commodity we have.
Yes, sir.
And when you come to band practice without your cornet, you are wasting your time and everyone else's.
Yes, sir.
The day I forget to bring something to school, you can tell me to write out a poem and learn it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Surely Mr. Keating could be a little bit more understandable, but just think, we never even knew what timetables meant. But seriously, do you know what? If I was Bernard, I would actually just skip the music lesson. Honestly, I would. But then Bernard has a better idea. He decides to pour water over his head by using the magic watch. So let's see if the plan worked.
It worked perfectly.
It worked! It worked! Yippee! It totally worked. But still, didn't seem like enough for him. So he had a better idea.
The day I forget to bring something to school, you can tell me to write out a poem and learn it.
He took the music from Mr. Keating's case and his keys and walked out of the school. He would leave the music on Mr. Keating's desk, Bernard thought.
Yes, Bernard, you take out that sheet from his bag and leave it where he could leave it behind, and then that way there would be no problem. That would be the perfect lesson for Mr. Keating. But unfortunately, he has a change of heart, because as you can see in the episode, you see all like the different timetables, because I mean, believe it or not, Mr. Keating has 8 children. How in the world can you have 8 children? I mean, now I'm beginning to realise why Mr. Keating is a very strict teacher, because he's probably full of stress and everything. So of course, looking after 8 children, that is a lot. And of course, so, you know, they have clubs to go to, they have this to do. And of course, with his wife being in hospital as well. Yeah, so of course, Bernard did have a change of heart. So he decided to put it back and stuff. Do you know what? If I was Bernard, I would still leave the sheet there. I know that sounds horrible of me, but seriously, if anybody crosses the line with me, you better watch it. But then again, it turns out that Bernard did do the right thing, because let's have a little look at it.
As it happens, I have a spare cornet you can borrow for today.
Oh,
So you can forget about the poem. But for goodness sake, don't let your father drive off with that one as well.
no, sir.
Oh, do you know what? If Mr. Keating did that to me, I would definitely use the magic watch, quickly stop time, walk all the way back to his house, and of course give it back to him. So yeah, but do you know what? It was definitely a very important lesson. Mr. Keating did have a lot of other things to worry about. So yeah, it was very nice of Bernard to give it back, and of course he got something good out of it in the end. Now, if you are a big fan of Bernard's watch, you must remember this character, which brings me to our shortest conversation of the week.
Shortest conversation of the week.
It's called for.
Bye. Bye.
It's Karen, everybody. Oh my god. And yeah, I apologise guys, but I had to include the Harry Hills shortest conversation of the week. Oh, I had to include that. So in season 2 of Bernard's Watch, we notice that Karen finds Bernard's watch, obviously because he left it behind at school. And as Karen decides to try and give it back to him, she realises what it does. So, and it turns out she can do just as much as anything as, of course, from the first season of Bernard's Watch. And you know what? I absolutely love Karen. Definitely one of my favouriteest characters on the show. Because in all of like the episodes that you see from her, she does do some extraordinary things, but they all get her into serious trouble. Especially from the episode Storytime. Now, on this episode, Karen does not like writing stories, which, in all honesty, I don't know why she hates writing stories, and in fact even tries to get out of it. I mean, I love writing stories. I've been writing for a long time. I'm even thinking about doing an online course in writing. We'll see when that happens. Another favourite of mine has got to be the end of series 3, which is called Ending Time. Now, this one is all about a very creepy episode, but absolutely amazing. So when Bernard wakes up at New Year's Eve, he is surprised to see the postman. I mean, how weird is it to like wake up in the morning and there's someone who's staring at you like, who are you? So Bernard decides to try and get the watch back, but then all of a sudden he comes by a very horrible visitor who has the magic watch.
At home.
Hello, Bernard. I've been expecting you.
Ah! Look out, everybody! It's Dirty Dan on EastEnders! He's returned from the dead! Oh no! Just kidding. It is the same actor, but of course, He just plays the horrible Mr. Rattle. It's so weird how like he plays a villain in a children's show and he also played a villain in a soap. Blimey. I love that man, God rest his soul. So Mr. Rattle keeps Bernard hostage in his own home, and this has got to be the most awkward thing that he actually does with the watch. Just sit down and watch this little bit.
We tried, like your parents or the police. All I've got to do is press this button.
How stupid is that? So you just say, all I've got to do is press this button, and all of a sudden he disappears and he walks right through the door. Well, that was a bit of a waste of time. I have to admit, it gets even more creepier from there.
But don't forget, I can be anywhere, anytime.
Ooh, the way he just disappeared saying I could be there anytime, anywhere. Bing. That always gives me goosebumps. Eventually, the magic watch stops working and of course Mr. Rattle gets caught. And apparently he completely loses it with Bernard. But there's always a little help from Bernard's mom.
What on earth do you think you're doing?
You keep at me. Now you're gonna...
Let go of my son at once.
I've warned you, keep out of this. Now you're gonna tell me where that kid is, I'm really gonna have to leave my...
Dare you? How dare you touch my child? You swine!
Go Bernard's mum, go Bernard's mum, it's New Year's Eve, you're gonna party, and now you just gave him karma. I love that. But I have to say, there was also a little bit of a funny moment after that, so let's have a look at it.
John?
I have to admit, even though that Mr. Beasley is definitely a very strict father, I have to say he is extremely funny. But I have to say, imagine if this was the other way round. If the dad attacked Mr. Rattle, I'm pretty sure he would have killed him. Another episode I forgot to mention to you guys was, I have to tell you this one. Now, this one was called A Bit More Time, which was the very first series and, of course, episode number 2 of Bernard's Watch. So when he realises that he can use the watch in all the other lessons he can use, I have got to say the funniest moment of this episode has got to be when he is called to see the head teacher and he gives him a maths test. And the funniest thing that Bernard tries to do is to run away. But will he give it a try?
Unfortunately, Mr. Tree was in the way.
Oh no. Unfortunately, no, because Mr. Tree is in the way and he's definitely got the finger of like, you can't escape from me, Bernard. I'm standing right by the door. So that was a bit weird. But yeah, I had to show you that bit, guys, because that always made me laugh. It was like, unfortunately, Mr. Tree was in the way. And of course he was in the way. He definitely said, you can't escape from me, Bernard. You really can't. On the very last episode of Bernard's Watch, there's this little boy named Harry, and he does seem like a very good little boy, but once he gets the watch, he turns out to be a very naughty boy. I mean, using the watch for like stealing toys, stealing a puppy, flooding up the girls' bathrooms at school, and even pouring honey over the teacher's head. I mean, that's not really a bad thing, of course, but doing all those things, oh God. But do you know what? One thing that really did make me laugh was what he said to the postman. Let's have a little look at what the postman said.
I tried. He told me to eat my shorts.
Eat my shorts? Doesn't that remind you of another character? Even though Bernard did try to convince Harry to stop doing those things go from bad to worse.
If Harry started time again with his uncle like that,
Oh my God, who in the world would have their flaming uncle literally rising up their arms in the air and just sliding out of the window? That is really dangerous. I mean, jeez, man. Imagine if he like came back to the library and all of a sudden you'd be like, ah, and all that. And then everyone would be terrified. Eventually, Harry learnt his lesson and everything got back to normal in the end. But still to this day, we never know what time's for or how time's time and everything. But yeah, that's just the way things work out, I guess. Time is time and it just goes round and round clockwise, I think. Does it? Yeah, it does. So guys, that is the end of Bernard's Watch. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys very soon, maybe in a few days time, for another one, because I am getting my list ready and I can't wait to start shooting the Christmas one. It's going to be fantastic. So I see you guys very soon and take care. Bye.